This is my intro. There are many others like it, but this one is mine. Hi, and welcome back to Boilerplate Socialism. This is Dan, and thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate you and all that you do. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Today we're going to talk a little about the labor theory of value. Now, the labor theory of value, in shortest terms, is the idea that value as we know it comes from human labor. To break it down a little bit, because it is a complex subject slightly, value is something that human beings want or need. It could be food or water, it could be gold, silver, Pokemon cards, or NFTs. People just have to want it or need it, and it will have value. Value comes from human beings. It's not something inherent. If that was the case, then NFTs would go for exactly nothing. But that's how that is value. Now, the labor part of it actually comes from Karl Marx extrapolating from a theory put forward by Adam Smith. Adam Smith believed that, unlike mercantilists of the age, that a nation's wealth wasn't measured by its gold or silver, but by its labor and by its trade, and that value was generated by the work of a craftsman. Marx took this a little bit further, in the sense that he recognized that there was value in raw materials. They were desired, but it was human labor that really transformed them and gave them value, usually measured in the form of money, which is what money is. It's a physical representation of value, which is why. But that's a topic for another day. I could go on this for about 7 or 8 hours. Anyways, proceeding on with this. There's two types of labor. There's living labor, wherein a worker produces what they need to pay their own wages for the day. And then there's dead labor, which is anything they do after that. Because if you really think about it, when you go to work, you're not actually being paid your true value. A Starbucks barista, if they wanted to make a day's wages, would make so many lattes. Any number that they make after what they make in a day's wages is the so-called dead labor. That's because this labor value is extracted as profit. And then it goes to the hands of either a private individual or a private corporation, shareholders basically. The reason it's called dead labor is because this is no longer being used or circulated to create anything. It's vampire-like, quote-unquote, as Marx called it. I'm paraphrasing here. But ultimately, there is the labor that a worker needs to pay their own wages, and then there's everything else after that. In a socialist enterprise run non-profit, there is surplus value extracted. However, that is used for public goods and services. Roads, universal health care, free education, free medicine, and things like that. The reason I did want to talk about this subject is simply because, workers everywhere are not being paid their value. You don't have to be a sweatshop worker being paid pennies to make $400 Nike shoes in order to be exploited. If you are a laborer, if you are a worker, that means that all you have to sell is your labor value, and you are being exploited in that sense. So when it comes to the labor theory, like I said, profit is more or less taking it out of the equation. When a company turns a profit, they don't invest it back into the business to make more goods and services. They don't make their own goods and services cheaper. Many times they do what is called a stock buyback. Google the company Activision Blizzard to see what they've done with last year's record profits from the pandemic. They laid off workers and took their profits and put them in an offshore tax haven. So effectively, the workers who made those video games were doing dead labor when they were creating the profit for the company. Well, their labor was effectively taken into a tax haven, and it's just sitting there, or being used to artificially inflate the price of stocks. So like I mentioned, it's a bit of a tough topic because, frankly, for me, this was a difficult one to understand, but that is the labor theory of value. It doesn't come from CEOs. Elon Musk doesn't make value. Jeff Bezos doesn't pay his workers pay him in a roundabout way. And if they got rid of him, then they could keep the profits of that for themselves. And that is the dream, isn't it? To keep what we want for ourselves. Remember Andrew Ryan from the game BioShock, is a man not entitled to the sweat of his brow? Well, that is true, and that's why we believe in getting rid of the investors, the capitalists, the unproductive people, basically. The people who do no labor and still take everything. Anyways, I want to thank you for joining with me today. I hope this is a little bit more abstract topic, but I hope this was entertaining. In the comments, be respectful. I welcome questions. I'm learning myself, and I want people to learn with me. So thank you everyone for coming. Please remember to like and subscribe. Hit that bell for quick notifications.
This is my outro. There are many others like it, but this one is mine.